For you crawler fans, now is a great time to get out an RC, and we've got a great truck to do it, the Enduro Ecto. Now this truck is primed for raw performance with a lightweight body, extended wheelbase, and crazy amounts of steering. So today, we're gonna dive in, check out the truck, and do some crawling with the all-new Ecto from AMain RC. Like many of you know, the new Ecto trail truck is a 4-wheel drive, 10-scale, solid axle trail truck that comes pre-assembled and ready to go right out of the box. And it's designed to drive kind of anywhere, with the real challenge being traversing the terrain while staying tire side down. But almost any trail truck can achieve that these days, which is why the Ecto is built a little different, inspired by the awesome Gatekeeper. But we'll get to that later. Conveniently, when you get the Ecto out of the box, it's pretty darn ready to go with a painted body, installed electronics, and a transmitter. A few items are required, like 4 AA batteries for that transmitter, and then the truck does require a battery pack. And for those of you who might not already have your own batteries, AMain RC offers a second version of the Ecto, which does include a 2-cell LiPo and a battery charger for a little extra money. Now, when the Ecto was first announced, there were a lot of people commenting about the body, how it maybe looked too plain, it wasn't exciting enough, or it didn't have enough scale details on it. Now, depending on your preferences, this could actually be a pretty good thing. Now with RC trail trucks, there's a spectrum between ultimate realism and ultimate raw driving performance. And these attributes work as a give and take, where if you want more of one of these attributes, well, you're gonna move further away from the other, because generally, you must sacrifice one to gain more of the other. Now, body accessories and details can really enhance the looks and the scale realism of a body, but it also adds weight and can raise the center of gravity of the truck, whereas fewer accessories keep weight lean, promoting a lower center of gravity. Neither method is right or wrong. We all have different goals that we want with our trucks, but the Ecto definitely leans more towards the trail performance side. Although you can make the Ecto body look more realistic if you're willing to add more weight to it. Now with the body just stock, the body is formed from Lexan material and styled like an early American pickup truck, and it comes painted with some scale details, like the front grille area and the Element branding decals. There are also decals over each window with trim. On the sides of the truck are a few more decals, plus the injected molded door handles and door hinges. Moving towards the back, the Ecto body features a drop bed design with decals, a hard plastic fuel cell, and a hard plastic roll bar tubing with number plates. This roll bar is attached to the body from the inside, and it's really rigid. And it's nothing like the Sendero HD body was with that bed, if you saw that video. There are a few more scale accessories included with the Ecto too, but you'll have to install them yourself, like these side mirrors with reflective decals. To install these, it only takes a minute. You just stick them through the pre-popped hole in the body, slide on the retainer, and add a drop of CA glue. There are also these 2 scale antennas included, as well as these little plastic GoPro cameras if you want to add more scale details to the body, but you'll have to pop your own body holes to attach them. This entire decal sheet is also included, ready for you to start detailing the body. And lastly, per AMain RC tradition, the entire inside of the Ecto box is a scale diorama backdrop for your truck. Oh yeah, there it is. The injected molded front bumper on the Ecto is pretty nice too, featuring a non-working winch and winch fair lead. This bumper is adjustable, but it's attached to the chassis for rigidity and not the body. Our Ecto tires and wheels have some nice scale appeal with them too, with the rubber being officially licensed General Grabber X3 crawler tires, and they're 4.65 inches tall. For the wheels, these are the Element Ocho beadlock wheels, which we first saw on the Sendero HD. Now what's interesting is Element shows these wheel screws being black in their photos, but they're actually silver on the truck, which is a nice change. These wheels do fit on with a 12mm hex, so all the aftermarket 1.9 crawler tires and wheels will fit on the Ecto. If you love some good old RC crawler action, subscribe if you haven't already. So it's kind of hard to deny, the Ecto body does have some scale appeal going on. It may be minimal, but that's to ensure as much trail performance as possible. And that's why the Ecto uses the Gatekeeper rock crawler chassis, but not the caged body. The Gatekeeper chassis offers some really nice, unique features. The biggest of these features is the use of the more high-performance trailing arm rear suspension. These arms are used in place of a link and move the shock positioning more forward, putting that weight more forward as well as providing more shock tuning possibilities. This trailing arm setup is supported by a rear sway bar that's made from a metal bar supported with plastic linkage. Having a sway bar can really help out the rear suspension remain more stable in rough terrain, as well as help with climbing and side hilling. And finding sway bars on trail trucks is not that common. Another Gatekeeper inspired feature for the Ecto is the use of the longer extended wheelbase, putting the Ecto at 12.8 inches, where most trucks are 12.3. The difference may not look that big, but comparing the Ecto on the left and an Element Trail Runner on the right, that extra length equals extra stability, and it's especially advantageous when climbing because the truck is less likely to roll back. Now in looser terrain, a little wheel speed is all that's needed to get up and over. Now there is one downside to having a stretched wheelbase, and that's just the reduced steering radius. The turning performance goes downhill on long vehicles. But Element RC has incorporated a few tricks into the Ecto that helps counter this. Now to pull this off, first, Element RC uses CVD front drive shafts, which provide extended steering angles in the front axle versus dog bones. Secondly, Element RC has equipped the Ecto with an overdriven transmission, which drives the front tires faster than the rear. Now this has more than one benefit to the truck, but it greatly enhances the steering radius, with the truck feeling like the front end is driving the rear end around, similar to having some oversteer, which is not something you experience much with trail trucks. But on the trail, the Ecto steering is excellent. From the factory, the Ecto is configured with a 5.7% overdrive, but it can be increased to 11.8%. And the gears to do it are included. The transmission can also be set up with no overdrive for a 1-to-1 setup, but you'll probably want to use it because it drives the truck around so well. And since the Ecto uses the BTA or behind the axle steering, that not so realistic link stays hidden, so the front end looks more realistic. The Ecto also features aluminum steering plates for extra strength, an aluminum panhard mount with adjustable track bar. The servo is a CMS setup or chassis mounted servo, and it's the Reedy 1523 MG metal gear servo with 173 ounce-inches of torque at 6 volts, and that features a metal servo horn. For those that want to add a second servo for a winch maybe, a second servo mount is included with 2 servo positions, but you'll need to relocate the ESC to use this. Now all the links used in the front end as well as the upper links in the rear are 5mm steel links. The chassis rails used are stamped steel and the motor plate is aluminum. The truck also uses plastic telescoping center drive shafts with an aluminum center spline. Another aluminum part are the aluminum threaded shock bodies used on all corners. These shocks are pretty darn nice and can be upgraded to the Kashima coated shocks if you want, which are the shocks that come with the Gatekeeper kit, not the RTR. Also, the shock position, at least at the top point, is pretty adjustable with the use of these aluminum inserts that you can arrange however you need them. Something we haven't talked about are all the electronics powering this truck. For motor power, the Ecto uses a 550 sized 14-turn brushed motor from Reedy, and that's okay to get a little wet. For the ESC, it's the SC480X brushed ESC. It's compatible with 2S and 3S lipos, and it's programmable with this Reedy program card, but that's sold separately. The ESC is also okay to get a little wet. Oh, and as a side note, the steering servo, the 1523 MG, is also okay to get a little wet. One thing you shouldn't get wet though is the XP R4 receiver, which is linked to the XP 130 transmitter that's included. And both of these units can power a third channel, so there's room left for an aux control like a winch, a light bar, other lights, whatever. Lastly, to bring life to the Ecto, a battery is needed, with shorty batteries being most ideal, but there is a second full-size battery compartment included if you want to use those, although I don't recommend it. In any case, the battery needs to have a T-style connector to be compatible with the Ecto ESC. Since this truck is all about performance, we found 2 shorties that fit perfect and offer different weights to tune the bias as needed, and that's with these 2 shorty 3S packs from ProTech. Now this is the larger 4500 milliamp hour 3S battery, and it's 235 grams. This is the smaller Protect 3S Shorty. It's a 1400 milliamp hour and it's only 134 grams, about 100 grams less. Of course, with more mAh or milliamp hour, you get more capacitor or runtime. But it's also good to be strategic about that weight if you're looking to gain more trail performance. As a note, since the smaller Shorty has an XT60 connector, we use this XT60 to T-style adapter to make it work. Now overall, the Ecto was a great performing truck right out of the box with excellent steering, climbing ability, and just overall crawling performance. And that's with the truck in the stock form. There is so much room for improvement with this platform, with upgrades, maybe a few wheel weights. The truck's full potential has really not been tapped yet. Now with the body, I kinda like it. I was with everyone else. I wasn't so impressed at first, but it's grown on me, and I really like how Element kept the front and rear ends of the body narrow for better trail clearance when you're in tight spots. I really like how they kept the scale details to a minimum to ensure the body is lightweight. It even looks kind of cool if you like that old, almost kind of rat rod, old style truck look. The tires do rub on the body slightly in extreme flex situations because the Ecto likes to flex, but it is rare. Now, one last thing about the body is that we tried to draw some of our own body lines into the Ecto body with these Gundam paint pens that AMain Hobbies sells. And it looks good from afar, but up close, it's not perfect, but it was our first try. These paint pens apply more paint flow with the more pressure you push on the tip, and you know, for our first time giving it a go, I'll just say that it turned out okay. But these paint pens may not be as ideal as just using a Sharpie. But in any case, body lines don't really matter. The Ecto is pretty awesome though. Guys, go check out the Element RC Ecto with our links down below, or check out these videos for more RC.